that nothing you're doing is going to work when it comes to weight loss, how would you respond to that? If someone said, you can exercise all day, you can eat as lean as you want to eat, but the weight ain't going to come off. How would you feel about that? If that was you, how would you feel? It seems like nothing that you do works. Well, I'm Robert Ferguson. I'm a nutritionist, weight loss coach, America's fat loss coach, researcher, author, someone who cares. I am the health ambassador with an amazing company called Stay Healthy. And we are on a mission to give people back their life. And we do that by removing excess body fat. So there's a lot of people who have excess body fat. Matter of fact, I was looking at a study this morning at communities where there's a ton of inequities and disparities. I'm talking about under-researched and underserved communities as it pertains to diabetes. And mind-blowing to me how many people are getting amputations today because of type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, insulin resistance, as a result of this increase of diabetes. It's out of control. And I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but at this very moment, in just the United States, you have about 30 million people who are type 2 diabetic, okay, confirmed. And then you have close to 100 million people who are pre-diabetic and have no idea that they are. Well, I want to share with you an update with one of our clients. And I'll make the link available so you can watch the interview because I got the update today. So we interviewed on the Stay Healthy Experience, one of my clients and friend, Chris. And when I first met Chris, his hemoglobin A1C was 11.1. And I told him that if he does the work, which he 100% did the work, but I made it really clear that within 9 to 12 months, we can reverse your type 2 diabetes. Now you hear people say that, and there's ways that you can do it. You got a lot of people saying intermittent fasting. You got a ton of people saying keto. And we say diet-free life. So this is what happened with Chris. Exactly what we predicted took place in the first 3 months. His hemoglobin A1C went from 11.1 to 6. And then I remember saying, I believe your hemoglobin A1C in the next 3 months is going to be like 5.6, which means at that moment, you're not a type 2 diabetic. Well, we just got the insight and he's 5.6. Now, keep in mind that he has not avoided carbs. He literally goes and has like In-N-Out burger, once a week or something like that, what we call a boost meal. And he's dropped closing down to like 70 pounds of fat. So he's done it and he's eating great, not missing anything. So that's the update. Oh yeah, the other part of the update in the last show that we did, I said, I believe that your doctor is going to take you fully off metformin, right? So the first 3 months, we got to a place where they cut his medication in half. Then we got through meeting with the endocrinologist. They were going to keep him on it, but they were going to cut it in half again. But then his physician looked at him, saw that everything was going in the right direction, and he's off. He is off. He is off. So another one off metformin. Boom. I mean, think about what I just said. For those of you who understand what hemoglobin A1C is, you're living with type 2 diabetes. Come on, you guys. We are making things happen. It is happening. Okay. Another person off metformin. If you do the work and you embrace the process, we can change all of this. And soon I'm going to be announcing I got another one that's getting ready to come off metformin. And we are fully reversing the type 2 diabetes. So again, we're evidence-based, clinically proven. But what I wanted to share with you, in addition to that quick update, because I didn't know that I was going to share that because Chris literally just called me about an hour ago and gave me the update. But I have a client who we're having a challenge of losing weight because everybody's going to lose weight at different rates. There's a whole bunch going on. Weight loss is not solely about calories in and calories out. It has a lot to do with how your hormones are regulated based on the way you eat and the way you move. And one of the key predictors on where you are as far as your ability to burn off excess body fat is by looking at your glucose numbers. Now, that's not the only thing we look at, but the fasting glucose is like a snapshot to find out where a person is. So let me just help you understand why what I'm sharing with you is so cool, so amazing, and why you want to share this with other people and encourage other people to get with a coach, whether it's with me or any of our coaches. Remember, the Diet for Your Life methodology is verified, validated, and reproducible. So we can connect you with the coach. You can work with me. I have a group of people that I'm working with. However you want to do it, but do something about it. Don't sit on the fence when your life could be totally changed in a matter of months, not years, but months. And you don't have to give up carbs. You can eat regular everyday food that's enjoyable. Now, to understand where the role of fasting glucose comes in, I'm going to keep this really simple. I'm not going to go into great detail. We'll do that at another time. But if your fasting glucose number, let's say, is 99 and lower, then that's considered normal, right? And if it's normal, that's good. Because above that, if your number is 100 to 125, that's considered pre-diabetic. And we don't want to be there. And what comes after pre-diabetic is you become a type 2 diabetic, which is when the number is 126 or higher. Now, I've had clients 600s with their fasting, like crazy. And we've corrected them. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because in order to drop body fat, we want to maximize this hormone called insulin. And insulin has a relationship with glucose, sugar. And the old way of thinking, the conventional way of thinking, is that when you eat foods high in carbs or sugar, then you're going to have a bigger insulin response. And insulin as a hormone does a lot of really positive things in our body. We need insulin. But insulin, one of its main jobs is to regulate or help regulate how much sugar is floating around in your blood. Because when you have high amounts of sugar floating around in your blood for long periods of time, it can create a whole bunch of health conditions that could lead to you losing your eyesight, your lack of being able to feel, a lot of nerve damage. And we don't want that. So when the glucose is in your blood, it doesn't want to stay there. Insulin, one of its jobs is to swim out into the blood and to get that sugar and get it out of the blood. Now it's going to store it in like one of three places, right? It's going to go to the liver. And if the liver is full, because the liver does convert sugar and store it inside, and it does that to protect us, because sometimes if we're not eating or we're in a situation where our blood sugar levels are dropping, your liver can literally help out and give you the sugar you need to like sustain. And if it's not going into the liver, then it's going to your muscle cells, right? And if it's not going to your muscle cells, then it finds the fat cells, and sometimes it just ends up being part of triglycerides, and we don't want that. So sugar gets the bad rap. Well, we don't want sugar in our blood, and that's where insulin comes in. Well, if your fasting glucose is elevated all the time, that is a sign that your insulin levels are elevated. And if insulin is floating around in your blood, it inhibits your fat cells from releasing fat. So if insulin's out there like the guard, it's saying, fat cells, keep the door shut, keep the fat inside. We're not letting them out as long as insulin's floating. So you could be working really hard, cutting your calories, doing everything right. But if that is your scenario, which is my prediction with this client, it's going to be very difficult to lose the weight. It's going to be tough. So one of the first things we do is let's get the glucose levels down. Now, there's a couple things I want you to get out of what we did. So I went to her, and her numbers were floating like 150, 160, 150, 160, and then they hit 178. And I said, you know what, we got to get your levels down. She's working out. She's exercising like a beast. She's eating and this lady, I have the utmost respect for, because whatever I encourage her to do, she's willing to do. So when I have certain clients who are stuck, I have a plan, right? It's the Diet Free Life method, but it's a plan that is specific at getting rid of fatty liver, helping with insulin resistance, and getting those glucose numbers down without having to starve yourself or avoid food. So I gave her the shopping list. I knew she would follow it to a T. And remember, she's never been under like 150. So 178, 1 week later, she was down to 88. So we're like, okay. And I asked, hey, have you been checking your blood glucose? She goes, yeah, it's been like 85, 88, 91. I'm like, wow, this is great. I said, so let's get another week behind us. Can you do it for another week? And she did it for another week, 85. So now that tells me, okay, her body is responding really well. The insulin levels definitely must be down. And we're guessing because we're only looking at the glucose. But when you bring that down, because you can still be insulin resistant, even though you have healthy looking fasting blood glucose. But as we were checking, even after meals, it's returning. Everything is looking good. So the signs are there that we no longer have insulin as a hormone inhibiting our ability to get rid of this body fat. Now, next week, we're going to know even more because we're going to look at the glucose. And at this point now, because insulin is not taking over, I expect to see a nice shift and then a consistent shift of her being able to drop some body fat. You know, I had another client who had done keto for over a year with no fruit or vegetables for over a year. Actually, I've had many like that. But nothing was working. And her glucose levels were starting to rise, which can happen when you're consuming a significant amount of protein. And long story short, I gave her the same plan. We saw a major drop. Then I had this client that I've worked with for like on and off for like probably 3 years. And you're talking about losing weight slow. I gave her this same plan. And consistently. And you have to understand, I mean, I've watched this lady. I'm not going to mention her name. I'm going to bring on one of our shows and actually talk about it because I work with her consistently for like 3 years. And we've lost weight, but it's a battle to get a half pound off. And now I'm watching her drop 1 pound, then 3 pounds the next week, 2 pounds, 1 pound, when that was never the case. So there's something to be said, you guys. When you get your fasting glucose under control, when you are aware of insulin response and you eat knowing what you know, and of course, a lot of this you would have to learn from like someone like myself or a coach, one of our coaches. But once you do that, now you got your body working with you instead of fighting you. You know, it's kind of like I say this all the time when I'm talking to people and they ask me the difference between Diet Free Life methodology and other approaches or programs for weight loss. I say when it's a diet, which we're a diet-free life, but when it's a diet, it's all about avoidance and restriction and giving up stuff. It's not about education and learning. And what happens when you're on a diet, you follow the diet because it's about the diet. It's really not about you. But with Diet-Free Life, you don't follow Diet-Free Life. Diet-Free Life follows you because it's all about meeting you where you are and not giving you a cookie cutter program or a canned approach to something, but seeing what's going to work for you. And that's all based on what you're willing and what you're able to do. So if you are someone, and here's my closing, this is my take home. If you are someone who feels like you just can't lose the weight, you're getting too old, it's probably not going to happen. That's not true. That's not true. I want to encourage you to tap into hope. And you don't have to be a client. This is about you taking control of you and doing the things that are going to help you. And you know a lot of the things to do, right? You know that drinking more water is better than drinking more soda. You know that eating foods that are close to nature is better than eating foods that are ultra processed. You know that eating fruits and vegetables can be helpful for your overall health and well-being. The dietary fiber is beneficial and helpful and all that, than to eat foods that are stripped of dietary fiber. You know a lot of what to do. Now it's just a matter of figuring out a way with accountability built in to get you to do it, or you're not going to do it. You know, it's like I was talking to Barbara, my co-host, and we were talking about one of her clients who was doing really well. She worked with her for like 8 weeks, and then that client renewed for another 8 weeks. And then at the end of that 8 weeks, the client was far from the goal, but decided, you know what? I think I got this. And as a coach, we always give our recommendation. And as long as they heard us, we give them the sign off on it. All is good. Because Barbara felt, you know, I think it's a little premature to stop now. So I think it'd be nice for you to, you know, enroll again. And the client was, nope, I want to see how I can do on my own. Great. Some people will do very well on their own after having a coach, but not all people. Not even a month went by, and Barbara gets an email, then a phone call. I want to get back on with the program. Why is that? She gained 9 pounds, you guys. So this is our space. We're not just coaching people for money. We're coaching people for them to be successful. And we will give recommendations, which you could consider an expert recommendation, that's going to help you get to where you want to be. And when a person says no to what has already helped them, then my question is, why are they saying no when they know that it's worked and we're helping them? Isn't our opinion or recommendation worth more than just words? So the good news is that she's back and she's on. And to take home, in closing, I just want to encourage you to keep the hope if you feel like it's not possible. Because when I would look at a fasting glucose at 178, it is possible. You know, I had another client that was like almost 300 fasting glucose, and she had never seen 99 for about 15 years. And she saw 99 2 months ago. So, boom. Anyway, it's all good, you guys. Keep hope alive. Don't give up. I don't care if you're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. I've had clients like do extremely well in their 80s, and they had weight to lose because we had hope and we were excited about it. Don't give up. Stay the course, because when you do, success will meet you halfway. It won't show itself until you're there. So you're kind of going on blind faith a little bit, but it's a good faith. And eventually you'll see, and you'll see that all things are possible. My favorite book actually says that all things are possible for those who believe. I believe. Now it's got to get you to believe in yourself, but don't put it off. If you have PCOS, autoimmune like challenges, you have any kind of condition like that touches on the role of insulin in your body, we got to get you some help, man. Otherwise, it doesn't end good. It's not a good ending. Okay. And you want quality of life. We want you to have quality of life. So if you have a glucose monitor, use it. If you're working with me or any of our coaches, use it. It will kind of give you a window into a little bit of what's going on. It is a sign. It does inform us. It gives us clues, right, on what's going on with insulin in your body. We get that under control, and then we look at other things, symptoms, markers, to help us have a better idea on if you're insulin resistant. And we have our own proprietary form or formula that gives us what we call the carb threshold index, which is a scale of 0 to 100. And depending on where you are on that scale, it gives us a clear view on how to best guide you and help you so that we can reverse fatty liver. We can reverse a lot of the symptoms of PCOS. We can reverse insulin resistance. We can reverse type 2 diabetes, and on and on and on. Okay, so it's all possible. Anyway, I'm Robert Ferguson. Thank you for giving me the time. Please like, share, subscribe if you're on the YouTube page. Help us get the word out. Again, we share information because we care. And if we can help you by answering your questions in the thread and the posts and the comments, we'll do that. And if you can take it and it works for you and you can be successful, God bless you and make it happen. All right. So again, thank you for the time. And until the next one,